Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mossy Smart. Let's jump right into this week's questions. First question comes from Elite XX Ranks. If you could live anywhere in any Zelda game, where would it be? I actually had this in-depth conversation with some of the team members years ago about living life as a Kokiri in Kokiri Forest. Because it's sort of like Lord of the Flies, but like peaceful. It's all kids. You never grow up. You're always a child. And outside of the events of the actual game, normal life, I guess, in Kokiri Forest, you're just wandering through the woods. You can go play in the Lost Woods. And I imagine, like, if this was a real life environment, the world would be a little bit bigger than just, 6 towns or 6 houses and like 10 residents. But it's like, Hakuna Matata. No worries to the end of your days. It's life as a child for the rest of your life. And I remember talking to Caleb about it, and he's like, who would want to live as a Kokiri? Your whole life is trying to pick up the same rock every single day of your life, or trying to teach people how to Z-target. And that was sort of like a comical answer, but yeah. I would like to live as Kokiri in Kokiri Forest, if I had to choose. Next question comes from Music and Stuffs. Do you think I should buy Triforce Heroes solely for single player? No. If you're just playing single player, no. Next question comes from Alex Jeffers from YouTube. Do you think this sudden, almost constant flow of Zelda games will end after Zelda Wii U? And what do you think could cause it to start again? Well, I'm not sure I accept the premise of the question, really. Let's look back at recent history in the Zelda series, say the last 10 years. Twilight Princess, 2006. Phantom Hourglass, 2007. Nothing, 2008. Spirit Tracks, 2009. Nothing, 2010. So if we, cherry pick that 3-year period between 2008 and 2010, we went 3 years with one release. So I wouldn't really say that particular period had a constant flow of Zelda games. Now again, I'm cherry picking that specific 3-year period of time. 2011 came, we got Ocarina of Time 3D, we got the Four Swords Anniversary Edition, and we got Skyward Sword. So we had 3 releases in the same year. Then 2012, nothing. Now, ever since then, it's been pretty consistent to an extent. 2013, Link Between Worlds, Wind Waker HD. 2014, sort of a down year, but we had Hyrule Warriors. Then 2015, Majora's Mask 3D. Now 2016 is sort of like 2011, where we're getting all these games. Hyrule Warriors Legends, Twilight Princess HD, and most likely Zelda Wii U. So, point I'm making is it's scattered. It's like there's some periods where we don't get any Zelda for a full year. There's never gone a full 2 years without a Zelda game since way back when. If we get all this in 2016, I expect 2017 to be an empty year. I don't think anything will release, but then 2018 it will be back to normal with another release or whatever comes up. Next question comes from James Marley from YouTube. Do you guys have a Patreon? No, we don't have a Patreon. It is something that has crossed my mind, and I know Nathan at Zelda Informer did post about the possibility of using a Patreon system some 6 months ago. This was before I was involved with Zelda Informer, though. I'm not exactly sure about the specifics there, but clearly, Zelda Informer was thinking of something similar. I never, jumped into it though, because I think for what the stuff I was doing at Zelda Dungeon, in particular the guide writing, it's heavily monetized with advertising, and that's how I make money off the website, and it does pretty well. And I'm not sure that type of content really warrants a Patreon. When I view Patreon in terms of YouTube stuff in particular, it's for people that are more consistent. Like, I don't know how to say this, but like the guide writing at Zelda Dungeon, I feel it's like a one-time thing when a game comes out and we really rush to get a game guide out. Then we spend a very long time trying to polish the guides and whatnot. But I don't think that's the sort of subscription-based system that Patreon is built around. I think subscription should be based on a constant flow of content on a regular basis, a daily or weekly schedule, whatever it may be, and people stick to it. Now, maybe this is just my mindset on it, because there's so many different people that use Patreon. I've thought about using Patreon for some of the future projects I have in mind, but I don't think that model works for anything that Zelda Dungeon or Zelda Informer, anything we do at the websites at the moment. And that's not something I'm striving for. Maybe in the future, but I don't know. Alright, last question comes from Game Over Jesse. It's a big one, too. Looking back at all the Zelda console games, all the major ones have received remakes. There was A Link to the Past, like sort of reimagined, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask on the 3DS, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess HD, yada yada yada. And Skyward Sword is the only one left before they run out of home console titles to remake. A lot of people even think Zelda Wii U is going to be a remake or a reimagining of the original Legend of Zelda. That would be me. Anyway, will we start seeing more of a focus on getting console titles out faster, possibly hiring other developers to make original titles, or will we see them digging into some of the 2D games to remake? Okay, I've sort of touched upon this in general over the last several mailbags when I've been rehashing these same remake arguments over and over. But I really don't. I think Nintendo is going to continuously reach back into their vault of Zelda games. And as I mentioned last week, that could be stuff with like the Oracle series. But I also think they are going to revisit games that they have already revisited. I think I mentioned in the last week's episode, Ocarina of Time, for example. We had Ocarina of Time, we had Master Quest, we had Ocarina of Time 3D, and I think it is inevitable that we will eventually get Ocarina of Time HD. And that might be a more expansive reimagining of the game, but I think it will happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but the point is, I think they'll continuously draw back to some of their past. So reimagining some of their handheld games that could be in the works. Like I said, Ocarina of Time HD, so reintroducing, and then that in combination with brand new games, and stuff like some of the games they're releasing now, or even in just the past few years, they might revisit those in the future. So, like Twilight Princess, nobody was talking about a Twilight Princess remake in 2011 when Ocarina of Time was being remade. But it's been 10 years, and now it's something worth talking about. So, Spirit Tracks, in 2019, are they going to be thinking of? So it's, as time goes by, it's going to be a three-headed horse, really, where there's one lane of brand new titles, another lane of remakes, another maybe reimagining games for a second time stuff. They've done it with so many games. They did it with Four Swords, the Anniversary Edition, or like A Link to the Past, or even Link's Awakening DX. There's a lot of ways they can reimagine some of their games. But I keep touching about these remakes almost every single week, and it's one of those hot topics of discussion that Zelda fans just can't seem to get enough of. And I think that goes to show how Zelda, I think more than most franchises, I think their back catalog is just so revered. It's so people are always it's nostalgic, but they always want to see that in a modern age as well. So that's what I think. It's maybe not exclusive to Zelda, but it's somewhat unique to an extent. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for watching. As always, you can send in your questions by posting them in the comments below at YouTube, in the comments at the post at Zelda Informer. You can post them at the forums, or you can email me at webmaster@zeldadungeon.net. I will see you guys next week with another line of questions. Take care.